Welcome, boys, to another edition of Parking Lot Picks. We're not really in a parking lot right now. We are in the driveway outside the house. The kids are inside, and it's going to get crazy. So, trying to find some space to get some quiet time. It is raining, so if you do hear loud clanks on top of the car roof, I do apologize for that. I am underneath some trees, but rain finds a way, and much like the rain here near my car, there's rain everywhere in the forecast for MLB. Really busy day on the rain. We'll just have to determine what's going to be best for us to pick our pitchers and hitters when it comes closer to lock, when we have a better idea what the rain's going to do. Right now it's a little too far outside the lock. We got 4 hours to go. Pop-up storms seem to be the worst for baseball games, and there's a ton of them in different spots. So we'll just break down what we would break down if there was no weather, and then eventually when we get to lock, we will tell you what's best to do for your picks. All right, we got 12 MLB games on the slate today. Tyler Glasnow is going to be my cash pitcher coming out against the Baltimore Orioles. Last time out, he only pitched 4 innings, but he struck out 9. Really effective pitcher, 11 Ks per 9. 2.0 walk per 9. That's really good. 185 average and a 50% ground ball rate and a 28% hard contact rate. So he's producing a lot of ground balls, strikeouts, and he's limiting bats to leave the yard and to give up extra base hits. Really like Tyler Glasnow against the Orioles. Orioles don't scare you at all. They do strike out. So Glasnow cash pitcher at 9,300, minus 190 favorite. Next up, I like Carrasco, plus 125 underdog, 9,200. He went 6 innings, struck out 10 against KC. He's coming back from leukemia, and Cookie has been a really good comeback story. Really good guy. He's going to be facing a Twins lineup that has done some damage against him in the past. Nelson Cruz has got really good BVP, 4 homers and over 300 average, but the Twins do strike out a lot. Cookie Carrasco is really sharp. He's back to his normal weight. He did drop some weight during the leukemia stuff, but he is back to his normal weight. He's pitching really good in the training camps, and then he pitched really good against KC, like I said. He's got a 10K per 9 last year. Below 2 walk rate, below 2 walks per 9, 50% hard contact, 40% hard contact rate, 40% ground ball rate. So he can give up some hit. He's going to give up a little bit of hits. He's going to give up maybe a run or two. But the thing is if Carrasco is striking guys out like he has been, he's going to be paying off 9,200 easily. I like him for cash or GBPs. Next up, I like Tyler Chatwood versus the Pirates. He was a minus 128 favorite. That's now bumped up to a minus 158 favorite. He was a 158 favorite. Now he's bumped up to a minus 180 favorite. So the line movement for the Cubs has been really good. He's an 8K per 9 pitcher. Used to be with the Rockies. Coming out of Coors, he's getting a really good ballpark in Chicago. No weather concerns. Here's a weather concerns part of the day. There's weather concerns in Baltimore as well, but not as much as it is here in Baltimore and Chicago have weather concerns, but I think the Indians game has the majority of the weather concerns. In Minnesota, there's pop-up storms everywhere. So yeah, like I said, we'll get to weather later. It's a lot undetermined right now. Too much guessing. I shouldn't harp on it too much, but I have been. Chatwood's got good line movement in his total. He's only 8,200. Last time out, he went 6 innings with 8 Ks against Milwaukee. He's got a 31% hard contact rate, 51% ground ball rate. That's really good numbers. I dropped something. Sorry. Really good numbers. He's got 230 average against. He's been striking guys out. I think he's gonna strike out some hitters in Pittsburgh who don't really have a strong lineup. They do have some good lefties, but the ballpark's going to help that keep the long ball in play. Chatwood, really good play at 8,200, maybe cash pick, GPP. I like him in both. Zach Greinke, I wasn't originally on Greinke. I'm not typically a Greinke guy because I think his strikeout numbers aren't as good, and he's typically priced pretty high for his salary, which is 10.8. today, but he is a minus 150 favorite. Ohtani is scheduled to pitch tomorrow, so Ohtani's not going to be in the lineup today. Trout's not in the lineup because of the baby, so he's going to get no Ohtani. He's got Rendon 0 for 9 in his career, so Greinke lines up pretty well. I don't think he can get there in GPPs if he does have a lot of strikeouts going, but he only had 8 Ks per 9 last year. He does limit, like I said, hits and walks, but the lack of Ks worry me against the Angels. Greinke, GPP only. I'll just leave it at that. And if weather does play a factor in today's slate for some of these pitchers I just mentioned, we might have to play Greinke. We'll see. Last game I like for pitching because it's a crazy hitting slate today. But last game I found in pitching that I liked was two guys facing each other out in San Francisco. Jordan Lyles versus Drew Smiley. Lyles is 7,900. We got an even line total, or even line with an 8.5 total. Lyles pitched 2 scoreless innings 3 days ago with 2 Ks. Did really well. 9 Ks per 9 last year. 3.5 walk per 9 last year. 240 again, average against, 38% hard contact rate. That's not that bad. Lyles is a weird lefty. He's going to be getting the Rangers lineup, who has a lot of good lefties in it. A couple only bats. Bats we'll talk about in this game later because I think there are some viable one-offs. But as a whole, if we get into some trouble for weather-wise for pitching, I found Lyles and Smiley might have to be viable options, sub 8K. We do have cores on the slate, so we are going to have to pay up for some bats, and we're going to have to punt some pitching, and I think Lyles and Smiley are going to be some of our only options to do so. Smiley was 7,300, like I said, even line total, 9 Ks per 9. He can rack them up if he gets enough lefties. The problem is Smiley gives up a ton of hard contact to righties, and the Giants now have some righty smashers, Slater, Flores, so some guys to be scared of, but not many. Yastrzemski and Dickerson are going to have a hard time today with Smiley with that looping curve. 45% hard contact rate, 21% homer to fly ball rate, but the pitching in the Giants ballpark is going to help this matchup. Hopefully, it's not something we have to go too heavy on, but if we do, I think they're definitely viable. So that'll do it with pitching. Like I said, tough pitching slate. We'll get the weather broken down, and maybe it becomes a little bit clearer where our options are after we get to know weather. Real quick. Thanks. Hitting. Big hitting slate. A lot of good spots. Some favorites of mine, some not so favorite. Coors has got a huge total. But let's start with Chicago and KC. 10.5 total. White Sox are going to start out against Bolaños and then get Sparkman, Grandal, Abreu, Edwin Encarnacion, Moncada, and Lurie Garcia. Some viable options today. They are the favorite, minus 125. They do get a hot KC weather. Small chance of pop-ups, but doesn't look like it's going to affect much. Humid day in KC. I used to live in Missouri for a year. It gets really hot out there and gets really humid. The ball likes to travel. But the KC ballpark, being it is pretty big, but I think you can get some good exposure to Chicago bats who are relatively cheap. KC is going up against Gio. They're expensive now. The price has gone up since the Detroit series where they were really cheap. Whit Merrifield's back up to 5K. Soler, Perez, Franco's 4-4 after being 2K for like 3 or 4 days. Mondesi had a really good day yesterday. He's really been trying to bounce back from his shoulder surgery last year. I do like KC. Not much on my radar. Gio just likes to walk guys. Mondesi would probably be my favorite pick because he likes to get on base, steal bases at a premium. So Mondesi probably my favorite pick at shortstop. Next up, we have Boston and New York. Boston's we got a 10.5 total. Boston in a great spot against Tanaka, coming off of a concussion after he got drilled in the head by Giancarlo in spring training. Boston has extreme good numbers against Tanaka. We got Benintendi batting over 300 with 29 at bats with 2 bombs. Bogart's batting over 340 and 35 at bats with 2 bombs. Michael Javas hit a grand slam off him in the last start they faced each other. JD's batting over 340 and 23 at bats with 3 bombs. Moreland over 290 and 27 at bats with 2 bombs. Devers batting over 460 and 15 at bats and a bomb. Like I said, you name it, everybody in the Boston lineup just drills Tanaka. So I do like Boston a lot. Their bats are relatively cheap, outside of like JD and maybe Devers, but you get some exposure to some of these cheap bats. Definitely having a Boston stack in play tonight. I think this is a spot where they can tag up Tanaka, who is probably going to be on a short leash to begin with, coming out of protocol, so they'll get the bullpen. Yankees bullpen can be good at times. Let's hope that it's bad today. Yankees get Godley. Godley pitched really well. He had 7 Ks in four innings, and coming out of relief against the Mets last time out. But Judge, Stanton, Gary Sanchez, Gio Urshela, DJ LeMahieu, too many good names. I don't like playing pitchers against the Yankees unless I know they're really struggling. They're not. The Yankees are not struggling. They got some hot bats in the lineup, so I'm going to roll with some Yankees. They're fairly cheap. Again, under 5K bats. I think DJ's price went down really far. Stanton's going to be expensive, but his bat's the hottest in the lineup. Torres came back right after that elbow incident with the Orioles the other day, so good to see him back in the lineup. But yeah, I like that game a lot for bats. Next up, we have Houston against the Angels, 9.5 total. Canning on the other side for the Angels. I think the Astros good shot at winning today, as long as Greinke doesn't blow it up. Every Astro bat is cheap outside of Springer and Altuve. Brantley's still under 3K. That's a good cash pick. He's just too good a hitter. He's not going to hit a lot of home runs, but guys, he's an over 300 career batting average player. Under 3K, I don't get what's going on with that. I'm just going to keep playing Brantley in cash till they raise him up. I think Canning doesn't scare you at all. Next up, we got the Indians facing the Minnesota Twins. Who was the pitch? We got Kenta Maeda. Indians not really familiar with Kenta, but Kenta can walk a lot of guys. Yes, he can strike people out, but I'm good with the Indians as one-offs today. Very cheap stack. I'm going to call it now. If Mike Freeman cracks the lineup, he's going to be in my cash. I love Mike Freeman. I know people are like, why? But he is. I was hoping they would give him the starting second baseman role, but then they signed Cesar Hernandez. He's a gamer. I love his attitude here in Cleveland. He's becoming a fan favorite. Bats from the left side. He can get some pop. Has a really fun swing. Hopefully he cracks the lineup and bats 6th or 7th, right behind Franmil or something. Franmil really cheap, only 3.6. Lindor's under 4 to 5K or 4,500. Jose's under 4,500. Mercado's starting to heat up. I like the Indians. I'm gonna have a stack today. After they failed miserably against Dobnik, and I think they win the series versus the Twins. Next up, we got the Mets and Braves and a 10 total. Toussaint on the bump for Braves. He's a good prospect. The Mets are fairly mixed in pricing. One name that comes to mind for me is Dominic Smith, a power lefty in a ballpark like Atlanta versus Toussaint, who struggles against lefties with hard contact. I like Dominic Smith to get a homer today. We got the Braves facing off against Hawaka, Freeman, Inciarte, Albies, Adams, Ozuna, and Acuna. That's going to be fun to say all year. They're mixed in pricing. This game went off yesterday. Both teams scored over 10 runs. I think this could be another spot where the runs come in a premium. I do like Matt Adams if he cracks that lineup in first base, cheap first baseman punt. Acuna hasn't had one of those games where you go, Jesus, Acuna, please stop having at bats, because every time he gets up, he gets a hit. He can go 5 for 5. I like Acuna if I just like Acuna if the price is right and I land on him. Because next up we have the premier hitting part of the day, which is Coors Baseball with the Padres and Rockies. I am all over the Rockies today. Favorite team on the slate, facing off against Joey Loesch. Arenado's batting over 360 with 19 at-bats with 2 bombs. Trevor Story's batting over 286 and 21 at-bats, 2 bombs. Matt Kemp, if he makes the lineup, batting over 509 at-bats with a homer. Expensive all around. Dahl and Blackman, not afraid to go to them in a spot like this. One thing people don't understand is they don't stack the lefties in matchups like this because they think, oh, a lefty, they're going to be the odd guys out. Well, if the righties tag the lefty up for the first 3 innings, they're going to throw a righty out there, and the lefties are going to be back on the right and side of the platoon, and the stack is going to be fine. You just play the best players in stacks. The best matchups and the best players. Doesn't matter about lefty, righty. It all evens out when it comes to the end of the game. Each player is going to get 2 to 3 at bats versus a righty, or 2 to 3 bats versus a lefty on either side of the platoon. So just keep that in mind when you stack. That's one thing that DFS players fail to do from time to time. The Padres going up against Freeman. Hedges, Machado, Myers, Pham, Tatis. Yeah, I'm going to have both sides of this game. Probably a mixture of both. Probably a lineup with both teams as well. Really good spot for Coors. Pop-ups and rain showers always a problem. So, like I said, we'll get to rain later. We got the Cubs in a 9 total versus Pittsburgh going up against Mitch Keller. Rizzo, Schwarber, Contreras, Baez, and Nico Horner is hitting the ball really well out of the second baseman spot. I think it's his turn in the rotation with Kipnis and Ian Happ. I think the Cubs, they kind of burned me yesterday. I really liked him in that spot versus Trevor Williams, but the Cubs are that kind of team where you don't kind of give up on them, and they'll reward you handsomely on a day where their bats go off. So I'll maybe have a Cubs stack. I'm not sure because it's pretty expensive. It's like the algorithm's telling me you have to play it because they're going to go off one of these days against the Pirates. I just need to know which day. Hopefully I'm on it when we are we are all on it when it happens. We got the Dodgers and D-backs, 9.5 total. Expensive bats for Dodgers like always. Muncy, Seager, Bellinger, Jock P. And Betts going up against Weaver, who looked really bad last time out. He was giving up a ton of hard contact, couldn't keep the ball over the plate, couldn't throw strikes. Dodgers could be a really good stack tonight. D-backs, you got going up against Julio Urias. The D-backs, I don't know, it's hit or miss. I like Carson Kelly as a one-off catcher. The Martes, Escobar is really cheap. Nick Ahmed is a really good hitter against lefties. Urias, probably only going to go like 4 or 5 innings. He's got really fast and good stuff. It's not something I really want to target on the D-back side, but I would understand it if Urias can't throw strikes and then the bullpen comes in and the D-backs can get to the bullpen early. Some one-offs in the Giants and Rangers game I like against some of these lefties. Longoria, Pence, Slater, Flores. Rangers side, and Elvis Andrews, Todd Frazier, Robinson Chirinos, Danny Santana. There's some guys here. Either one of these pitchers can be viable to use on the pitching slate and can be viable to hit against. All bats are going to be cheap too. So, if you're finding yourself in cash and you land on one of these guys, don't feel bad because I mentioned pitching some of these pitchers. I think it's viable to use some hitters as well. Seattle versus the A's, 9.5 total. Seattle, like I told you, they're crushing the ball right now. I mean, they can't stop getting on base either. The Mariners are kind of hot. They're looking like the best team out there, minus the Astros. Kyle Seager's got a 333 average and 21 at bats and a homer against Fires. Kyle Lewis, a good power righty. Jose Marmeloya. I knew I was going to mess this up. Jose Marmelos. Big lefty, former Angel. Him or Vogelbach will be in that first baseman spot. Austin Nola, cheap catcher. Malik Smith and Dylan Moore round out that stack for me. Next up, we have the A's going up against, what is that? Shoot, the one pitcher I didn't write down. Oh, shoot. Oh, well, hell with it. Yeah, A's are going up against the Mariners pitcher that obviously is not too good enough for me to remember. Sean Murphy, Matt Olson. They're gonna see. Gosh, who was it? It was a lefty. Oh, the Japanese guy, Kikuchu or something like that. Kikichu or something. I can't pronounce his name. Dang it. He's a lefty. Murphy, righty. Pinder, a righty. Piscotty hits lefties really well. Marcus Semien, always a guy batting leadoff for the A's that you can get exposure to at shortstop. He's relatively expensive always. I don't usually go there. Matt Chapman, Roman Loreno, and Matt Olson was 4-10 with a homer. So that was good to see from the lefty side too. But let me go with some picks. Homer, expensive homer. I'm going with the cover boy Trevor Story. I think he's going to crank 2 tonight. I love the Rockies. It's kind of a cheap thing to do, picking a guy from Coors. If I was going to go outside of Coors for a homer, give me JD Martinez. Stack that's not Coors that's going to go off. Give me a GPP stack of the Indians tonight. Let's get the boys to go get the bats rolling. Really shocked the slate with a large outcome of runs. Historically, Carrasco gets a lot of good run support. For many years, Kluber would get like 1 to 2, 3 runs, and then Carrasco would pitch a gem and get like 12 runs of run support. So I like the Indians in a spot today for a cheap GPP stack that go off. Let's go with the low value bat to hit a homer. Give me Dominic Smith from the Mets. I like that call versus Tukey. It's going to go low owned. Pitcher lock of the day will be Glass now. Value pitcher, I'll go Jordan Lyles. And GBP pitcher to get a 10K is Cookie Carrasco. Okay, that'll wrap things up for our preview, our MLB preview for today. It is August 1st. Everybody enjoy your weekend. Let's hope we get a fun night tonight. I just want to thank everybody who's subscribed and watched these videos. It's been a blast. I can't express how much fun I'm having doing these for you guys. Can't wait to keep doing more and more. Hopefully we'll get Chris on. We get back to the late night vibe. But for now, more parking lot picks coming. All right, guys. Have a good day. Talk to you tonight. See ya.